Jamie Richards, we've got the first Griffin race coming up on Sunday, only a small field, but you're certainly a man I was wishing to talk to, because you've got a horse in here by the name of the All Out, who has looked very good in these trials. What can you tell us about him?
He's a horse who bought at Karaka last year. Nice type. Brutal sort of hadn't done too much at that stage, but he's starting to kick up now, and he was out of a good tough Savabeel mare. But yeah, he's a nice horse. He went through the system at home. He trialled up well in August, and then he came up, and he's been here a little while, and he's had a bit of time, and he's had a few trials, and things seem to be going well.
I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, obviously, naturally, with some of these 2-year-olds, Griffin horses, for example, I mean, they don't necessarily have the opportunity all the time, perhaps, to get those trials in, but you've given this fellow 5 here.
Yeah, the plan when we bought the horse was to try and identify a horse that we thought could get up and get going early for the owner. And yeah, everything's gone pretty smoothly, but yeah, we had a clear plan to bring him up nice and early and get him ready for these early Griffin races.
Those early track watchers here would have certainly not missed his 57.09 trial recently down the straight. That was the quickest time of the morning for that distance, so he's certainly done it all right on the trials track, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's continued to improve, and you know, he had the rail to follow and a few things in his favour that morning, but it was still a nice trial, and hopefully he can take his trial form to race day.
You mentioned Brutal. Super Strong Kid is another horse up here by Brutal. He's won recently, so it might just be a stallion or a breed that might start to get in vogue. These Brutals, might they?
Yeah, well, he's a very good racehorse himself. He won the Doncaster as a 3-year-old, which is very hard to do, and Brutal's by O'Reilly, as is Grunt, and both of those sires are starting to do okay up here after O'Reilly, was a good sire here himself. So fingers crossed, but he's a nice horse, and we're expecting him to run well.
I think you introduced LaForza in this race last year. I know he was beaten, but he's obviously gone on to do good things. So this is obviously, as you mentioned earlier on in the interview, it's a race and a horse that you've obviously targeted for a race like this.
Yeah, so LaForza is a little bit different because he's probably just lacks a little bit of strength still, but he is going well, whereas this horse is a big, powerful, good-looking horse. He looks like a 3-year-old rather than a 2-year-old, so he's probably a little bit more forward, and hopefully we can crack on with him a bit. Obviously, these Griffin races, there's not a lot of them, but hopefully he can run well on them, and then we'll see what happens towards the end of the season.
Jamie Richards, race 9 looks competitive heat, but you've got a very competitive horse in Celestial Colours. They've left him on the same mark of 77, and he ran well off that last time. Yeah,
he did run well, and the format of that race is good, with the Quinella on Wednesday night with Colourful Kings. So yeah, he's going along well. He had a very quiet maintenance trial up at Chungfo on Monday morning and moved along nicely, and yeah, he's a horse that's racing well, but he's going to run under Casper's exciting young horse, and he's got a bad gate for the straight race, so he has got a few things against him, but he's a very consistent customer and continues to race well.
Yeah, working your Bowman on, so hopefully he can certainly overcome that, and I guess we shouldn't worry too much about him coming back to Sharpton. Those good runs recently have been at the Valley, but he's run very well here.
Yeah, he has. It just sort of didn't work out for him to kick off at Sharpton, so we took him there, and he had 3 trials leading into that off a bit of a break, and he's got good solid straight form as well, so hopefully he can front up and run well for the stable.